Alrighty, we're here with Michelle Lincoln, New York Times best-selling author of several series. Today we're going to be focusing on the Tempest Series.
Yes.
Specifically her 5th book, which is coming out when?
October 13th.
And it's called?
Tempting Tempo.
Now I'd say music is probably the main theme that you center around in all of your stories, across the board.
Yes. Music is probably the reason I started writing. I was always fascinated by the songwriting process. What's behind each song, what's the artist thinking about, what's going on in their life, what are they trying to say with their music, and I love poetry. And so that's why I wrote the first book. I wanted to show a songwriting process and how people could bond over music. And I just kind of fell naturally into rock stars, and I love rock and roll music.
Are there any particular bands that you really drew inspiration for the Tempest series specifically?
The Tempest series specifically is Guns N' Roses.
And where would you say you get a lot of your musical inspiration from? Would you also say you get it from Guns N' Roses, or are there other bands?
Oh no! Like when I wrote Irresistible Refrain, the first book in the Tempest series, I listened to Guns N' Roses over and over and over again, everywhere in the car, when I worked out. The boys got sick of hearing Guns N' Roses.
Sure.
So I get in little phases like that. I'll dress like, it's weird, I'll dress like the characters in my story.
In character?
Yeah. I'll dress like the characters in the story, and I'll listen to certain songs will inspire me. When I wrote The Paranormal, it was 10 years I was listening to over and over again. When I wrote Tempting Tempo, it was Shine Down is a big influence.
And I know you put a lot of your own original songs in each of the stories too, right?
Yes, I love lyrics, and so what I do when I write the stories is I leave the lyrics out, and I kind of know what I want the song to be about, and so I'll say in the rough draft, insert lyrics here, and then my husband and I work together. I give him all the words, and he helps me with I'm really not good with the you have to have the up and down and a certain number of syllables. And in Tempting Tempo, the last song, the beauty song, is so important. And so I love that song. I think it tells the story in a nutshell for Sager and Melinda. And he calls her Blue because she had blue hair when he first met her. And Sager, he's the bassist in Tempest, the quiet guy.
So I know the most recent book that you're coming out with is going to be dealing with anorexia and eating disorders in general.
Yes.
And I know this one hits you closer to home than the other ones have.
Correct.
So do you want to talk about that a little bit more? At what age did you begin the recovery process? Like, when did you realize that you were not eating or exercising in a healthy manner?
I think it wasn't actually a set point. I think I knew what I was doing wasn't healthy.
So
I hid it. I think that's a common thing with people with anorexia, is to hide it. If you equate eating anything, you just want to be thin. So every time you eat, you feel guilty. You feel ashamed. And so I was bulimic. When I would feel like I ate too much, I would throw up, and that would make myself sick. I mean, I could be dizzy. My heart would hurt doing it. It was bad, really bad for me. And
was there like a lowest point for you during this?
I kind of think so. I was always kind of overweight as a child, all the way up until I was 15. So, I think growing up today, all the magazines, everything for a girl says be thin to be beautiful, and anywhere, yeah. And so it's really hard, and so I always had self-confidence issues because of that. And then when I was around 15, I got really sick and lost the weight from being sick for a week. And so then all of a sudden it seemed I had boyfriends and
It felt
interested in me.
nice.
Yes, it felt nice. So I wanted to keep that weight obsessively.
Mhm.
You know, it very, very thin. People would tell me that were my friends that I was thin, but I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just felt like the only way to be beautiful was to be thin. And so that's when I started really not eating for days.
And it was just all about that number
control,
on the scale.
the
going
number
down.
on the scale, the control issue of not eating, and that's where I think a little bit of the depression comes in. That you don't feel good about yourself, so you're just trying to control one thing.
Mhm.
And
When do you think you overcame that? Like, I know it's probably something you still deal with today.
yes, it is. I still have to tell myself not to be obsessive with it, not
Mhm.
to focus. I don't have any scales in the house,
Yeah.
and
Because there's being healthy and then there's.
yeah, I don't want to be fixated on that.
Mhm.
I think I have a personality that's kind of not obsessive compulsive, but I have a tendency to obsess, especially about things about
Mhm.
weight. And like I said, my mom still does. She still
Because
has.
it's comfortable. It's something you got comfortable in.
Right.
And it's easy to slip back into those habits that.
Exactly. So I don't have scales in the house, and you know what? My mom still does. She has a scale in every bathroom in her house, and she still reports her weight every day, and she runs every day, and
She runs?
every
How
day.
old's your mother?
70.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Have you ever spoken to your mom about this?
yes, she knows I've written the book about it, and but I don't think she sees that she still has those unhealthy habits.
Did she ever come to a point where she had to kind of be like, hey, like I'm not being very healthy right now. I'm losing too much weight. I'm too skinny.
I think she did when I was born prematurely. I think she had guilt about that, and I think she started eating better then.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, probably when I went off to college, and I guess maybe that's why I really like writing about that age. It's because that was when I kind of spread my wings like a butterfly, yes, and found out who I was and realized that it didn't matter what weight I was.
Mm-hmm.
But right up until that time, you know, when things are stressful, like I did in the storyline in Tempting Tempo, is the girl goes through some stressful things, and that's when she starts getting very focused on her weight.
Because when you lose control in other aspects of your life, you try to gain that control back by focusing on controlling your eating habits and how much you weigh.
Exactly.
But then that becomes your whole life, right?
Right.
It kind of consumes you.
It does consume you, and so I was getting ready to pick out a college. I remember being in my 20s and going with my mom and up in the car, and she didn't even notice. And I think a little bit of it is attention seeking too. I wanted her to notice, and she never noticed that I was going days without eating.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a dialogue with your daughter, then you should be able to pick that up.